All right, what's going on, guys? Try back again here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing our first Q&A type of video for this week after we just saw what is no doubt the greatest episode of any television series ever, Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 3. This one will be leading up to the start or the premiere for Episode 4. Alright guys, so spoiler warning, if you have not seen Episode 3 yet, we did lots of videos last night. We did a reaction to Episode 3, we did predictions for Episode 4, and the full-length review for Episode 3. After just, what an incredible episode, The Long Night. I mean, you know, the best episode ever. I was just going over it a second time just now, just looking through all the insanity that's in that episode, man. It's crazy, like the amount of battles that are in it. I mean, you can tell why it took them 2 months to do the single episode, because you have, from the beginning of the episode with the Dothraki to the lines of the dead coming in, to the fire everywhere, to then, I mean, that's just the start, right? After that, the dead kind of pushing them in, and then eventually, getting to see some of their more kind of prominent giants, and of course the Night King coming in with the undead Visceron, the dragon, and just getting to see the battle all the way through to the very end, keeping us guessing all the way to the end as to who's going to win, and almost kind of convincing us by the end that no, the White Walkers are simply going to win and kill everybody in the series, and that's how the series is going to end. To, spoiler warning, Arya coming in to save the day at the very end and take one final stab at it, miss, and then somehow catch and stab a second time. Unbelievable, right? Absolutely unbelievable episode. And, got the comments from you guys here that we'll go through. Battle of the Bastards, one of the other best episodes of the series. Blackwater, Hardhome, some of the other epic episodes they've had. The Winds of Winter, the one in Season 7 with the dragons versus... Jaime when he was on the other side, on Cersei's side, just all these incredible episodes of the series. But personally for me, I gotta say that I think this one takes the cake. I think this one is the best episode Game of Thrones has ever done, and it's also the best episode that any series has ever done. I mean, it's extended, so it's not the regular runtime. There's no commercials or anything like that, but it's just... It's been such a build-up for the White Walkers at first, when the series first starts off. And I loved how it kind of played out in the episode as to where it's like, when the series first started out, they were kind of this sort of mythical type of creature that most people didn't think were real. Tyrion with Jon and the others. Tyrion is like... he doesn't even believe in them. Like, he's like, talking to him like, you're a smart boy. Grumpkins and things like that. I forget what the quote is exactly, but he's talking about how, nobody believes that they're even real, to the point now where even when they kind of come in to attack, they're in the darkness, so they're cloaked sort of, so you don't see them until it's too late, right? Until it's just, oh man, crazy stuff. So SoCal Chris says, what's better than this episode? Trevs' reaction to the haters. I literally fell out of my chair laughing at that. So you like that one. So I liked it too. So thanks, Chris, and everybody else for watching the reaction and video and the others and enjoying them. The episode was incredible, right? And you got to think like, okay, if you're going to say that this is not the best episode ever, what episode of what series do you think surpasses this one? What episode of what show do you think you can compare to this? And I just sit there and I think like there's nothing. There's nothing that I can think of over the 10 years of doing this with you guys and watching different shows and reviewing different shows. This is the most epic episode of any series I've ever seen. Yeah, and it does, I do think for me anyway, it does surpass Battle of the Bastards. Battle of the Bastards was awesome, but it didn't have kind of that mythical sort of, factor in it. You didn't have the dragons. You didn't have, giants, right? Undead giants. You didn't have, just throwing everything with the kitchen sink at this one. You didn't have, I want to say there was some character deaths in Battle of the Bastards, but I don't think there was as many as there was in this one. And it was just, oh my God, just absolutely incredible. Battle of the Bastards is awesome too. It's one of my favorite episodes ever also. I don't want to beat it up and say that, whatever. And if for some people, some of their favorite episodes are still some of the earlier ones, no problem. that's totally cool. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, what an incredible achievement this episode is. And the other thing to me is, like, because the series is almost over, I think this is what we had hoped for. Like, this is what we had wanted to see. We expected to see something pretty epic, because we've had some awesome episodes throughout the series. We've had some epic stuff that it was just incredible. I'm thinking, like, the Mountain versus the Viper. That was a great one. I mean, there's lots of really exciting episodes in this series, but I don't think any of them were as good as this one all around. The amount of stuff they put into it was like, what didn't they put into it, right? Grizzly Scalp 950 says, best episode ever. Don't try to dispute it. Yeah, I don't know how you can really dispute it. It was just on another level. It was so incredible. Jupiter Crash says, best episode ever of Game of Thrones. Speedy00135 says, is Ghost still alive? So I think Ghost is probably still alive out there somewhere. I mean, he's a ghost, right? So he comes and goes as he pleases. He fades in the background. He kind of becomes invisible. The thing is with Jon is that he's developed in such a way now where we found out he's not a Stark anymore. So, I mean, he is and he isn't. Like, he still has that history. He still grew up with them, and he was a member of their family and everything in that way. Adopted, I suppose, in a way. So maybe he will, but he's got... people were saying that both the dragons are still alive going into episode 4, so I'm happy to hear that if that's true. If they didn't lose one of the dragons, that's great. I kind of had thought that they would. Maybe they'll lose one to Cersei, and then just Drogon will be alive in the end. I've always thought throughout the whole series that as time would go on, Drogon would be the one for Daenerys, and the others would kind of fall off as time went on. So I'm thinking that Cersei, when they attack Cersei's going to be ready, and she's going to have some answers for the dragons, I think, right? We've already seen some of them before, but I think she'll have some other tools that could be useful against the dragons. And the other question too, and I saw people commenting on this one as well, and I discussed in my predictions for episode 4. I got the impression that almost everybody was dead. Like, I got the impression that at Winterfell there was hardly any forces still alive there. So unless some reinforcements arrived late or something like that, like didn't get there in time, and so they somehow kind of rebuild their army here. But I was under the impression that their army was like decimated. I was under the idea like they were to the point where everybody was dead. Maybe some of them are under bodies, like hiding under bodies, but are injured, like Sam or something. Sam's like, they're like, maybe there's a whole bunch of bodies at the top of him, and he's just like, they pull him out after or something. Like, those type of things. But I didn't get the sense that there would be enough to take on Cersei now with her 20,000 or 30,000 or 40,000, however many people she has in total to fight, and all their tricks and mountains and things like this. So, we'll see how the end of the series goes. But because they beat the Night King, I tend to think, I don't think that they're going to lose to Cersei. Like, I can't see that happening. I don't think so. Jack Goldberg says, I think the best was watching the horses, the horse riders' blades just go dark. That was really cool. It was a really cool effect. And it was sort of getting more with less. They didn't show us a lot. It was one of those where you can't see it, so you're just looking out, and you just see all the lights, the fire, flames start to go out. And all the lights go out until there's just a couple, and then boom, there's zero, and you just hear kind of screams, or you hear the horses riding back and kind of run away, right? Running away. It's like, oh my god. And yeah, man, did we see any undead horses? I'm trying to think, like, maybe, but yeah, I would think so, because the whites, don't they ride kind of undead? Yeah, they've had some undead horses throughout the series earlier, right? Drew Foster says, wish Bran played more of a role in the death of the Night King. Really questioning his purpose now. Well, he's given them good information, right? So Bran has given them a lot of really good information. He told Daenerys that the Night King had one for dragons, which was... You can't underestimate how crucial that is. If she would have been in battle and not known that the Night King had desecrated and resurrected her, her other child, I suppose, if you want to look at it that way, or the other dragon, Viserion, then she could have been useless in that battle, because when she found out, she could have been shocked and really pissed off, or she could have gotten overly emotional and overly committed to going after him and put herself in harm's way. So the things he does is like information. He gives people information, which once you have it, you're like, oh, yeah, it's no big deal. But if they didn't have that information going in, and Bran didn't give them that info, then Yeah, also he was in a spot where he lured the Night King out into the open, sort of in the Godswood, a little bit. I mean, at least there was some space out there, and he lured him in pretty good to give Arya a chance. And Arya knew where he was going, right? And then Melisandre talked about the eye color with blue, right? So that was pretty cool. Lyanna Mormont, champion. So for Legion 2K says that, yeah, she was such a badass character. I'm sad to see that they killed her off, but you could not ask for a tougher, stronger, more amazing death than that. She literally killed a undead giant, which giants are scary enough as they are, but undead is even scarier. And I'm not sure if, because the undead giant looked like it was going to eat her, but I'm trying to think, do the White Walkers, do they chew on people? Do they bite people like zombies do in normal, zombie apocalypse shows? I'm not sure about that one. I tend to think that they kind of get in and stab them, skeleton stab and whatever else they do, I guess. But maybe they do. They bleed still, which is a bit, it's like a darker blood, but they do. Jack Goldberg also said, dude, when the White Walkers are just hanging out at the Trents, LOL, no one just starts pummeling them with arrows. So still awesome, but I still have to say Battle of the Bastards may be better. So Jack still thinks that Battle of the Bastards is the best ever. Well, that's fine too, I think. Ramsay was incredible, right, as a villain. And the Night King doesn't say a whole lot, so he's very stoic. Comes in, maybe he smiles once, in the series, but aside from that, there's no, he's not going to taunt you like Ramsay is, right? Ramsay messes with you, and that's what's fun about him. He was a great bad guy, too. So, hey, everybody's going to have their favorites, and that's fine, no problem. I just felt like this one was built up after so many years, and it's like the final end battle for Game of Thrones. The bar was set pretty high, and they somehow still managed to surpass it, right? Even as high as it was, they went over it somehow, raised it even higher. But I tend to think now that the final kind of last battle with Cersei won't be quite as epic as this, but it'll still be amazing because it's the end, and it's all part of the same season, so it's part of the story. ScottyT1234 Howe says, Jorah died a legend. Love him, can't believe what I just watched. Speechless. So that's true, man. He went out, and I tend to think he is dead, right? Because he got stabbed a bunch of times, and again, it's hard to keep up with everything in the episode. I'm going to watch it through again to get a clear idea of everybody who's still alive. But I did get the sense, that he was a goner for sure because of the amount of times he got stabbed and everything went down. So I would think he would be dead for sure. He went out saving Daenerys. Without him, Daenerys would have died for sure. So she's even getting behind him as people are or the dead are stabbing him. She's like, after reach over his reach over his meatless or his meat body was getting meat shielded, stabbed. Well, she's counter stabbing. Funny stuff. Well, kind of too dark. Probably shouldn't be funny. It's kind of brutal. William Truitt says Gendry will be king. So that's his prediction for the end. Is that Gendry will, in the end, Gendry will be the one who gets to sit in there. I don't know. At this point, it's I'm surprised that both Jon and Daenerys survived. I thought one of them was going to die in this battle. I really did. But I'm happy that they didn't because I like them a lot. But Cersei may take a few heads before this whole thing is done. It may be to where, Cersei is not as formidable as the Night's King. I don't think anybody would debate that. But at the same time, she's just been waiting there. Well, they've really lost a lot of strength after having to take down the dead. So, yeah. RP says, I'm shocked Brienne and Grey Worm survived. Honestly, I thought they were going to die. Yeah, I thought so too. But Jorah was one that a lot of people predicted, and so that was one of them. And some of the others as well too. There were enough. I felt like there was plenty enough death in this one, just because it wasn't all our prominent characters. It was fine because it felt like they lost almost everybody. At least most of their army, most of their soldiers. Zero says, yeah, John. So I'm going to sit this one out. Arya, you got this, bro. So yeah, send in Arya against Cersei. That's my thing, right? Just send her in. She's got to have she killed the Night King. She's got to have some kind of superpower or something now, right? If she wasn't powerful enough as it was, doesn't she get a level up, right? Is this a Dragon Ball scenario where she's defeated Frieza, so now she can go Super Saiyan or something, right? So got to have. I don't know. Well, we'll see how they handle Cersei because I do think they're going to be outnumbered. I mean, really. And because we'll have the last one for this one who says, what do they have left? 20 fighters, women, and children, and one dragon? So it sounds like they probably have the two. I thought one of the dragons went down, but I guess it didn't. I couldn't see that well, though, because it was pretty dark. I turned the lights off to help, but still, it was hard to tell sometimes. So if they have both dragons, then, even if they don't have that many fighters, they have two dragons. But this is the type of scenario and the situation they're in where you probably don't want to fight a regular confrontation type of battle against Cersei right now. You probably want to assassinate her or do a concentrated strike in King's Landing to take her head and, somehow bypass the other forces. So if you got 2 dragons, maybe you take Arya, you take Jon, you take your best fighters, you ride them in on the dragons, you bring the dragons, find out where she is. Bran can use his Professor X skills to find out where she is. And, go right into the capital, like right there, bypass the army, go right in and try to take her down with whatever forces you have. Bring in the Hound to counter the Mountain, and go right for the head. Because I don't think right now they can really win a land battle against Cersei with the amount of numbers they have against the Golden Company and everything. I just don't think they have enough left. But I could be wrong. Maybe reinforcements will arrive late, and then they'll be like, "Oh, here's 10,000 people. We could have used you guys yesterday." But maybe they couldn't have, because maybe that would have just made the situation different, and then they would have lost, right? Because it's kind of like how they won was kind of like the most, the assassination. That's how they won. So maybe that's how they can do Cersei as well. But that might be a bit repetitive if it's Arya again or something. It probably won't be Arya for Cersei. It's got to be different. If you guys like this video Q&A, leave me other questions. I would like to do another one. There's so much to talk about after such an incredible episode. Leave your comments below. Thumb up the video. Share, favorite it. And subscribe at the bottom left if you're new. That's it for this one, guys. We'll see you again soon for another Game of Thrones video. As always, this is Trev, and I'm saying peace. 3 episodes left, guys. Oh, my God. They're going to be great. Can't wait.